Mr. Yip Hon Wing.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, may I take questions 10 and 11 together, please?
Please proceed.
Sector salaries are reviewed regularly to ensure that salaries in social service agencies, SSAs, remain competitive against comparable roles in competing markets. The recent review took into consideration the economic outlook, wage growth in the general market, including healthcare and public service, the contributions of social service professionals, funding sustainability of SSAs, and alignment with the skills framework for social service and healthcare. In particular, the skills maps, which outline the range and levels of skills and competencies required for each job role, were developed and validated with representatives from the sector, the academia, and the government. Arising from the review, some job roles were merged or right-sized. These include 1. Adjusting the organization budget ranges for head of agency roles. 2. Merging executive, program coordinator, program executive, and volunteer executive into a single executive role. 3. Merging social worker entry and social worker into a single social worker role. And 4. Merging therapist degree and therapist diploma into a single therapist role. And 5. Mapping the senior care staff role to social service assistant job grades while reclassifying social work associates more appropriately to the social work associates and senior social work associate roles. The revised salary ranges for merged job roles provide greater flexibility for SSAs to hire employees at various competency levels and to plan for their progression according to experience and performance. For merged job roles, the starting salary guidelines took reference from the blend of the merged grades and are higher than the starting salaries of the lower merged roles before the review. As explained in an earlier reply provided by Minister Masagos to a parliamentary question on 21st of April this year, the salaries for the right-sized senior care staff role represents an increase in salaries once those with competencies and performance at the job level of social work associate are reclassified into the correct job role. NCSS has been supporting SSAs to implement the guidelines and to ensure that employees continue to be remunerated commensurately. Current staff should not have their salaries reduced as a result of the changes to the job roles. SSAs should continue to pay staff competitively, including paying above the guidelines if they are able to do so in order to attract and retain quality manpower.
Mr. Yip Hon Wing.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. The work in the social service sector is challenging and oftentimes can be emotionally and mentally draining. How often does MSF intend to review the salary adjustments to make the pay more competitive and to attract people to join the sector? Besides salary adjustments, what else is MSF doing to improve the attractiveness of the sector? And is MSF working with MOE to attract more students into the sector through more industry-relevant course curriculum in our tertiary institutions like IT, Poly, and our universities? Thank you.
SPS Eric Chua.
I thank the member for his SQs. The short and quick answer to his questions were all yes. We do work with MOE to go upstream to green harvest, and we do review our salary guidelines annually. So I thank the member for his suggestions.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I thank SPS for his reply. May I draw SPS's attention to a Facebook post by the Healthcare Services Employees Union on 15 April 2023. The president of HSEU, the union, stated in this post, and I quote, "More broadly, the review potentially impacts support care staff in the healthcare sector, as there's much overlapping similarities in job functions and skill sets, unquote. May I also draw SPS's attention to the following paragraph in HSCU's Facebook post, quote, HSCU was not consulted for this wage review. HSCU reiterates that any review of sectoral wages and remunerations should adopt a tripartite approach. Given this, may I ask SPS if he can help address the second and third parts of my PQ? Firstly, whether potential implications for support care staff in the healthcare sector have been considered in the review, and furthermore, whether a tripartite approach was considered in the review, if so, to what extent, and if not, why not? Thank you.
SPS Chua.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I thank the member for his additional SQs. Yes, just to reiterate what I mentioned in my speech, we have consulted the sector, academia, and the government, not the unions this time round, but we do note his suggestion that we can possibly involve the unions in future salary reviews. Thank you.
Ms. Denise Poa.
Thank you, SPS, for his response. I wanted to clarify and perhaps seek MSF's role in facilitating the support of additional wages in the social service agencies, particularly for those which are providing essential services, many of which the salaries for the chief executive, the finance positions, and even for IT are not supported by MSF or by NCSS. So I want to ask if MSF would consider facilitating agencies, help agencies such as NCSS, SG Enable, and so forth, to basically support these positions, because these are important, they are integrative roles, and to bring especially multi-million dollar agencies together, we do need these positions, and to support only those services, so-called for direct staff, will not actually be realistic without these integrative roles.
SPS Chua.
I thank the member, Ms. Denise Poa, for her SQ. I think she would also understand that in the social sector, the approach has always been one of many helping hands, where the government, the corporate sector, and the community partners, including social service agencies, all come together to bring something to the table to make sure that in terms of the various aspects of running the social sector, funding, expertise, resources, everyone brings something. So from that end, it's possibly not the government can't possibly fund all the programs that are running on the ground. And yes, so I seek your patience in letting me finish my reply. And so it's in that spirit that I think we take an approach where many stakeholders come together to bring something to solve the many social problems that we face today.
Mr. Lewis Ng.
Thank you, sir. Could I just ask whether MSF follows up with the SSAs on whether they're able to meet these new salary guidelines? And if so, what percentage of SSAs are able to meet these guidelines? Thank you.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I thank Mr. Lewis Ng for his SQ. I don't have numbers right now. If you would like to, please file additional PQ and we can attend to that. But we do work with NCSS as well as the relevant SSAs. If there are cases where, in particular, if the actual salaries on the ground do not quite match up to what has been stated in the guidelines.